right, hey guys, Sam here, back with you on Monday, September 17th, midday here, and we're going to finish up with a look at Litecoin. It's been a while since we've looked at it here, so now we're going to get over to the hard right edge here, but just as a quick review. So this is the daily Litecoin to the dollar on Bitstamp. And operating on the idea that we've just put in a W here, X wave is in, and now we're in the process of potentially now putting in our Y wave, so we'd have the A wave in here. Here's the B, and we're down looking for a C somewhere to pivot down here. Now, so as again, I've shown this before, so just working from our X to our B here. So here we're right to the 50, so you can see we already had we've already had algos get paid on their first target here, no bounce at all, and second target is down here at roughly 20 bucks, so we can't eliminate that as a possibility. So this is our dominant pivot that we're working from, and we've just had no significant retracement along the way to even support the idea that we're starting to get any type of a trend change, just a series of lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, all the way down. Well, let's zoom in down here a little bit and see if we can make some sense of it. So here, I'm still on the daily. So considering, wait, hang on one sec. Sorry, so considering what's happening with Bitcoin here as we sell off today, it's very hard to imagine that we've got some sort of a significant pivot down here for Litecoin with Bitcoin still going down. So, you know, we've got to just acknowledge that. So if we look here from this potentially as our 4 with some sort of a target down here approaching 20. So if I just work from this pivot here to this pivot, right? We're just looking for any sign that we've got some sign of strength here. Well, from the 4, I'm looking for 5 down. So if I just do standard ops here and I just take this as a 1, 2, 3s in, A, B, C into the 4, well, we come just a couple of ticks shy of the 50, and we've got this first algo target down here. So maybe we're heading down here. Maybe, all right, so that's a contender. Well, let's get down to a smaller time frame. So I'll go down to the 2 hour, see if that helps us at all. So it's a little tricky here because of the lack of a good 2 wave here. So even here on the 2 hour, boy, that's a bit of a stretch here to call it. There's a 2 in there somewhere, could be here. Maybe this is our 2, right? And then we've got some sort of a funky 3. It's very hard to get a clean count on that. So so we would need 3. We would need a 5 wave within our third. So I'm going to allow for this as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of our third. There's the 4. So again, you know, maybe there's a low in somewhere down here. I don't think we're there yet. Let's get that up a degree so we don't get lost on it. All right, so this would be larger degree, potentially now still over here. So you know, it's hard to get bullish here. So just as we have this difficulty getting a 1, 2 here, we have the same thing here. It's tough to get a 1, 2 into that. Is it there? Yeah, if I go down to a 15-minute, yeah, we can dig a 1, 2 out of it, but we just don't have anything that looks particularly. We don't have good subdivision here. So if I think about where we've gone here, so let's acknowledging here that we've gone to this 50 and that we have this target down here. So let me just put a hot box on it so we don't lose track of it. Okay, so this is from the last 50. This is our algo target here from this 50. So the algo sells it here. It's looking for that location here. So we'll call that 40 bucks. All right, so if we're coming down there and we have this challenge of, well, where is this? Do I have a completed 5 here? Well, if we back that up into where we've been and look at, you know, does that look, the symmetry of that doesn't look particularly good. So you'd have to go 1, 2, 3, much longer 4 than a 2. And, you know, it seems like a little bit of hopium to think that that's 1, 2, given what's happening with Bitcoin. So what's an alternate? Well, let's just pull this off here. So on the assumption that we're not sure about, let's pull that off. So we're not sure where the 4 is and where the 5 is going to be. It's hard to call that. So where's the 1, 2? Tough one here. So the other alternate is that this is, so if we think with this established, because I don't like this, So, yeah, but, you know, so you go dominant swings, right? So what's left? Okay, what can we be definitive about? So we can take that swing high to that swing low, and we've done a 50. So then you think, well, could that be 1-2, right? So if Bitcoin's going much lower, and this potentially, oh, shit. Oh, that is my least favorite. Damn it, least favorite thing about TradingView. Won't let you grab them. All right, so I deal with this all the time. Sorry, guys. Annoys the piss out of me. All right, so if that's a 4 up here, right? So all of this gets moved over. If that's 4, so what's the possibility here? Well, certainly we can't ignore the possibility that this is 1, 2, right? 3, 4, and 5. Although we're getting down to, we start challenging. We got to pay attention to where 0 is, right? So if that's going to be 1, 2, and 3 is going to be down here, 4 is going to be here, 5 is going to be to a new low. This was the last algo target we were paying attention to. I suppose we could stretch this up here. On the larger degree, we might have a wider, but if that's 1, 2, we know that this has got to go all much lower. So here's high probability zone for our third. If that's 1, 2, 3, so this has got to go much lower. This has got to go much lower. So then we kind of back that out and think, okay, how would that fit with regards to where we are? So let's go back to let's go to a 4 hour and think about that. Okay, so if that's 1, 2, and that's 4 is in, and we've just done 1, 2, rather than assume that we've gone 4, 5, let's think about because this is very difficult to get a clean count of that. If I'm going 1, 2, then I've got this here. I've got to acknowledge this target here. So that's a contender. But if we're going to get into a real third wave, right? So again, as we would always do, if that's a 1 and that's a 2, right? Here's my high probability zone. So this comes down here on the assumption we're going to get that kind of price action. So this has to go all over here. So now we're looking for this kind of move. So we're looking for the impulse into the 4, then some down here for a 5 to finish us, which would have us approaching those longer term targets. And we don't know, again, this is all just hypothetical. We have no idea where that's coming. We can't project from anything. We don't have the 3, we don't have the 4 or the 5. All I'm doing is just laying out a possible roadmap. So given how, oh boy, it's very difficult to get a bullish count on Bitcoin, and Litecoin's going to trade right with it. Looks to me like this very well could be 1, 2, 3 still yet to come, and then the symmetry of all of that plays much better with regards to the larger degree counts. So even if we think about, if we take this one here, we've got to consider this. So we get this little hot box down here. So we do have the possibility. So maybe this gets recounted and it ends up being that this is the 3, this is the 4, and then we're coming down. I think that seems less likely. This looks to me very weak, like we're just not done. So let's go back even further and try and get the larger degree as to what we might be doing here. So if this is 3, 4, so let's get this one here as well. So if that 3 is in and we've had a shallow 4 here at the 23, well, we get this here, so that's the one we've already tagged, right? So let me bring this up. So we got to start looking for some of these lower alternates. So we've got a big cluster down here at 23. So we're getting multiple overlap here. Note these are secondary targets. So we get a series of hot boxes here. So we have this right here for the idea that maybe this is going to end up being recounted. Maybe that is 3, 4, 5s coming in. I certainly wouldn't be a buyer there. I wouldn't try and pick the turn. I'd wait until we got something that was bullish, I'd be looking between the 50 and the 618 for a potential 1, 2. Right, again, this is going to follow Bitcoin, so it's hard to think that 2 is in and we're off to a new trend change. Although anything's possible. This looks to me much more likely as though maybe there's a pivot here, so this could potentially be the 1 wave of the 3rd wave. But this looks weak to me, like there's more downside here. So again, I'm not one to be shorting crypto here, but I do have specialists on my team that will work with you on that if that's something that you are interested in doing, right? We've got people that have been very successful doing just that. So, but again, so you're shorting here at 53. Yeah. Could you make money there? Sure, right? If that's going to go from 53 to 25, right? There's certainly a leverage trade right there. Right? If that's going to finish with this kind of subdivision here, and if this is one, if we have it right, if I have this correctly identified here as this being our 4, and we've gone 1, 2, 3, 4. Boy, I think it's overly optimistic to think that the low is in. So that leaves either that's the 3 or a 2, all of that implying lower prices. So what's the safe play? Whenever we do get a pivot, if we get a pivot here, if I've got this wrong and this ends up being 4-5 and a pivot comes in here, Bitcoin starts to go and things start to turn around. Well, what's the, as I've shown it many times, we wait for a motive wave, right? So we wait to get some sign. Could be a diagonal, but it's got to be 5, and then we take the first 50, looking for the third. That's the safer way to approach this, rather than try and pick the low. Just absolutely no reason to incur that risk. So let a pivot develop down here, get a motive wave, wait for the first retrace between the 50 and the 618. That's the sign. That's the spot to wait for. So there's no hurry here. There's no reason to be forcing a trade here. Right? So if you're not already short off of that 50, yeah, I wouldn't be buying. Even though there's a trade there, you could be a buyer with a pivot below the, or pardon me, with your stop below the pivot. Boy, I think that's, well, it's just not a trade I would take myself, right? So I'll leave it at that. So eventually we should find a pivot down here. We'll be back to revisit this when we get a motive wave off the low. All right, until then, I just see no trade or only shorts. All right, guys, that's all I got for today.